Thank you to the viewer who sent in a suggestion for a video. I'm never quite sure what to do in these videos, and it always helps if you let me know. Could you make a video talking about Thai names, for example, how to read and write or recognise Thai names, and common names, and maybe even background culture story about names in Thailand? I think that would be interesting and very helpful for Thai learners. Thank you. Well, I'm not an expert, but I can go through some of the things that I've picked up after living in Thailand for 17 years. To recognise Thai names in text, I'll go back to one of the questions from the previous video. And in that video, I mentioned that the sentence structure of Thai is very different to English. But Thai still uses subject, verb, object, the same as English. So in this first part, what we've got is Sudapon Gep Ngan. So our verb is Gep, like to save. Ngang, money, is our object. And then our subject is Sudapon. And with a verb like save, the subject has to be a person. You know, cars consume petrol is subject, verb, object, but cars can't save things. Only people can save things. So this subject here, Sudapon, that has to be a name. Let's look at another one. Here, in this part, the verb is buy. Okay, our object is but cow charm. This is like but can be card, like but credit card. But in this example, but cow charm is like an entrance ticket. And before the verb, we've got to look for our subject, and our subject is con Thai, or con people, Thai, the adjective, so Thai people. And then we have my dong, no need. So what this is saying is that there's no need for Thai people to buy tickets. I can't remember exactly where this was. I think it was a temple. And outside the temple there's a big sign that says entrance fee 500 baht in English. So the tourists turn up and pay their money, and they just assume that everyone pays 500 baht. But what they can't see, because they can't read Thai, is the sign in Thai that says that Thai people don't need to pay. This is quite a big subject, and I'm bound to forget quite a lot. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you there. Most Thais have three names. They have a given name, a surname, and a nickname. And in England, some people have nicknames. I used to play cricket, and if you play for a cricket club, everyone gets a nickname. But outside of that, not many people have nicknames. But in Thailand, everyone has a nickname. And that's what you use most of the time. If you ask a Thai their name, they will give you their nickname. And you can know a Thai for many years by their nickname, and you'll never find out their given name or surname. And there are various ways that Thais get their nicknames, and I'll go through a few here. So animism. If you're in a pub quiz and get asked the state religion of Thailand, Buddhism will be the right answer. But the predominant belief system is based on animism. Thais have a very strong belief in spirits and ghosts. We have a little shelf where my wife pays respect to the spirits look after this house, and we also have a spirit house outside. And some Thais believe that malevolent spirits will steal newborn babies. And one way to prevent this from happening is to give the baby an ugly name. So if you call the baby Frog, then the malevolent spirit will be less likely to steal that baby. As is the case in the West, names go in and out of fashion. And a few years ago, sort of my generation, maybe the generation after, animal names were very popular. So you'll meet quite a lot of people who are a little bit older called gung, shrimp, mao, cat, got, frog. My wife has 7 older siblings, and 3 of them are named after animals. So my kids have an Uncle Chicken, Guy, Auntie Crab, Boo, and an auntie fish, blah. Nowadays, that fashion seems to have gone, and you very rarely meet youngsters with animal nicknames. When I was teaching a few years ago, hardly any of the kids had animal nicknames. There was one girl called Takatan Grasshopper, very sweet girl. They weren't all sweet; some were sort of little monsters. But it is quite unusual now because animal nicknames have gone out of fashion. Some Thais also have nicknames based on the sounds animals make. My wife was telling me about a kid at the school where she teaches who's called Op Op, and in Thai, Op Op is the sound that a frog makes. At the service centre where I get my car fixed, there used to be a guy called Ud, and when I first heard it, I thought it meant camel because lots of Thais have animal nicknames, but it's not. It's a different spelling, and what his name actually means in Thai is the sounds that a pig makes. So the equivalent in English will be for someone to be called oink. It sounds really strange for foreigners, but this type of thing is perfectly normal in Thailand. A lot of Thais are very materialistic. They lust after luxury goods from abroad, and this is reflected in some of the nicknames they give their kids. I used to know twin boys called BM and Benz after luxury German cars. And when I go to pick up my son, when the parents arrive, the teachers call the kids to the gate, and there's always a call for an unknown Porsche. So someone's used another luxury German car brand for a nickname. Also, mobile phones. When I first arrived in Thailand in 2003, the top brand's mobile phone was Nokia, and there were quite a few kids running around called Nokia, but I would imagine now that most of them have had their nicknames changed to iPhone. Thai nicknames are an endless source of amusement for me and my wife, and some parents try to give their kids humorous nicknames. I'm not sure why. I was in a restaurant a while ago and I heard a woman keep saying Facebook, Facebook, because she had named her kid Facebook. And my wife's nephew had a kid last year and named him Nickname. I've never heard of this one before. So you can imagine when he goes to school and gets a Farang teacher and he's asked, what's your nickname? Nickname. Yes, what's your nickname? Nickname. I'm not sure why they do it. It's meant to be funny, but these names just sound dumb. And I think when the kids get older, these names are going to be really embarrassing. Some siblings have matching names. I already mentioned BM and Benz, but I've also met siblings called Om and M and Dai Dai and Dodo. Some Thais have second nicknames. Their parents will give them a nickname, but possibly their friends will give them another nickname, and that could be based on appearance. So if the kid is fat, their nickname might be Uan, which means like fatty in Thai. And foreign nicknames, and there are two flavours of this. The first is if a Thai goes to live or work abroad and their nickname is too difficult for foreigners to pronounce, they might just give them an English name. So they have a Thai nickname and a foreign nickname. And what I was saying about fashion earlier, animal nicknames have gone out of fashion, but my wife was telling me that the fashion now is for foreign names. So there's a lot of kids with like English nicknames. Again, at my son's school, there's a little girl called Elsa. She must have been born when the Frozen movie was very popular. And I have no doubts that elsewhere in Thailand there will be kids running around called Anna, Olaf and Sven. In everyday life, Thais just use their nicknames. But for formal matters, for example, when they deal with the government, they need to use their given name and their surname. I'll come on to surnames in a minute. So the given name is Chư Jing, Chư name Jing Real. And this is all based on astrology and auspiciousness. Thais are probably the most superstitious people on the planet. I've never known anything like it. And the given name is designed to give the person good luck in life. And I had absolutely nothing to do with choosing the names for my children. It needs to be done by someone who knows about these things. So my wife went off to see a friend who does know about it, and she apparently has got a big book. and she asked my wife lots of questions. She needs to know exactly when and where the child was born, when and where I was born, when and where she was born, and other questions. And once she's got the information, she can then come up with some given names. There was also a very interesting character who used to be Prime Minister of Thailand around the time of the Second World War, called Black People Songkram, and he came up with this set of cultural mandates. They're available to look at on Wikipedia. They're actually quite interesting. What they are is a set of rules for how Thais should live as every aspect of their life. So, how they should eat, what they should wear. And he also included names. So he said that male names should end in sak or chai, and female names should end in porn or si. So here we have som chai. I think everyone in Thailand knows that the som chai or two. And here we have, this is a doctor's name. Boyo is Pet Ying, that's a female doctor, and her name is Titi Porn. And porn is a very common syllable in female Thai names, but it's given the Thais a bit of a dilemma. Now that they know what the meaning is in English, they feel quite self-conscious about being called porn. So they'll either spell it differently. I've seen porn, instead of being spelled with a P, spelled with a B and an H. And I met a girl a couple of years ago called Porn, and when I first asked her name, she told me Paula, which is an English name, not a Thai name. So that sounded strange. So, what's your Thai name? So she told me Porn, but initially she didn't want to tell me what her name was. And because given names are supposed to be auspicious and give a person good luck, if they're not having good luck, they will actually change their name. In Thailand, bad luck doesn't just happen. There's always a reason. So if a person's having a lot of bad luck, they will go to a fortune teller to find out what the reason is. And there are different things. It could be their telephone number is the reason they're getting bad luck. So they'll change their telephone number. And it's quite frustrating if you try to contact someone you haven't contacted for a long while, and they've changed their number, so you can't get through to them. Sometimes the fortune teller will tell them that their bad luck is being caused by the colour of their car. Now, obviously, it's quite expensive to go out and buy a new car that's a different colour, or to repaint your car. So what they'll do, they'll put a sign on the back of their car. As you can see, this is a white car, and this sign says "Ro Kani," this car, Sirang. This white car is red. And when I started to read Thai, I saw quite a lot of these, and they really confuse me. And that's the reason. People think they're having bad luck because of the colour of their car, so they put a sign on the back of their car saying that their car's a different colour. Similarly, if a Thai believes that the reason for their bad luck is their name, they will change their name. My previous girlfriend not only changed her name, but she also changed the name of her daughter. Again, this is something that sounds quite strange to foreigners, but in Thailand, it makes perfect sense. Surnames have only been used in Thailand since 1913. That's a year after the Titanic sank. So there will still be some people alive in the world today who were born before Thais had surnames. And the reason is that when Thailand started having more to do with the outside world, the country didn't want to be regarded as uncivilized. It wanted to be more westernized. So Thai started to wear Western-style clothes. Instead of sitting on the floor and eating with their hands, they started sitting at tables and eating with forks and spoons. And the addition of surnames was something that also made them a bit more westernized. Thai surnames tend to be quite long. That's because when the Surname Act was introduced in 1913, it stated that every family should have a unique surname. And if surnames were just 1 or 2 syllables long, that wouldn't be possible. My wife's surname has 6 syllables, and that's quite common with Thai surnames. So a few examples. These are just ex-Thai prime ministers. I've written their name in Thai and also given you the transliterated version. And as you can see, these surnames are indeed quite long. Finally, to give you some more real-life examples, These are members of the Thai band Endorphin. Endorphin have been around for a long time and have made some very good music. It's their names and nicknames in English and Thai, and this also illustrates the perils of transliteration. There are lots of H's everywhere. Whenever Thais transliterate, if there's a T, K or P sound, they put an H afterwards. But not only is this unnecessary, it's misleading, because when English speakers see TH, they think of th, and when they see PH, they think of F. Many times I've heard foreigners talking about the part of Bangkok on the other side of the river as Thonburi. It's not Thonburi, it's Thonburi. The lead singer is called Da. This vowel here is a long R, but when it's transliterated, it's just one A, so it's short. This guy's nickname is Gia, but the Gore guy is always translated as a K, so instead of Gia, it becomes Kia. And another thing, this guy is actually called Bird, and there are lots of Thais with the nickname Nok, which means bird in English. So if you ask them their name, they will tell you Bird. They will give you the English translation, but their name is actually Nok. I met a girl years ago, and she told me her name was Bird. So I was calling her Bird all day, and then I realised that no one else calls her Bird. They all call her Nok. The giveaway for when a Thai uses a foreign name is this Garan symbol. Because what we have a vowel combination here, this Sara A and Sara I, that makes an sound. So we've got the burr, so we don't actually need the raw ruh. But what Thais will do is follow the foreign spelling. So this word's got an R, and therefore they will put a raw ruh for the R, but then they'll put a garan above. It's the same with this guy whose name's Bomb. So all he needs is the bo by mai or ang mo ma. But he's followed the spelling, so he's actually put another bo by mai on the end for that B, and then put a garan over the top. Once again, thanks to the person who suggested this topic. I hope this has been useful. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And thanks for watching.